Well, it's a complicated situation in that country, isn't it? We thought we would try and get some analysis and some explanation. Nabila Ramdani is a journalist and specialist on Middle East affairs. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time. Just try and explain how many people, not numbers of people, but just give us an idea of how representative these protesters are of people in Bahrain.
Well, as you know, and I'm sure as our listeners know, it's very hard for foreign journalists to get into the country to try and report about what is exactly going on. And although we have TV camera crews filming the race at the moment, it seems that foreign journalists are not allowed to venture further away from the perimeters of the race and, have a look around the country and talk to people on the ground. And in fact, an awful lot of foreign journalists have been banned from entering the country. Having said all that, what we do know is we have an idea of the nature and the scale of the crackdown. So far, we've had reports from human rights organizations and from the few journalists that were allowed in the country. And so far, they established that nearly 100 people have been killed in the clashes with security forces, that approximately 1,600 protesters, including doctors and journalists, have been arrested and indeed locked up. We've also seen harrowing reports documenting how doctors and nurses have been tortured as well for treating injured protesters. And are these
just reports from the protest groups themselves?
No, there are also reports from traditional and professional journalists who were allowed in the country earlier on. Reporters from the BBC, in fact, from Al Jazeera.
Sure,
as well.
But what I was hoping to try and get some explanation from, because we have had description of the kind of suggestions of what the government has been doing in terms of alleged human rights abuse. But what I'm trying to understand is what exactly these protesters want. Is it simply a fight for democracy, as we keep hearing, or is it more than that?
I think it has to. What is going on in Bahrain has to be put in the context of the Arab Spring. At the heart of the uprising in Bahrain are demands by the majority of the population, the Shiites, for more democratic, for more representative governance, meaning that they want equality before the law, they want accountability, they want effective citizenship. About 70% of the 1.3 million population is Shia in Bahrain, and yet the country is ruled by the Al Khalifa family, which is a Sunni Muslim dynasty with strong ties to Saudi Arabia. Now, the Shia population, who is a majority, is facing widespread discrimination. For example, they are blocked from key political or military positions, and they feel like second-class citizens, effectively. We've seen how earlier on the Al Khalifa family have offered some reforms, but the opposition is effectively saying that it's not enough and they're pushing for more democracy.
Yes, but you said it's not comparable though to a situation like Egypt, though, is it? Because as you're saying, this is very much drawn on sectarian lines in a way that you don't have with Egypt, and you've explained that very well. There is concern, from my understanding. I spoke to Frank Gardner on 5 Live yesterday, our security correspondent, and he was effectively saying that if these protests led to the cancellation of the Grand Prix, which it looks extremely unlikely that would be the case, but if that were to happen, the leadership would they would wreak some kind of revenge, was his kind of analysis of the situation.
Yes, indeed. But, I think the situation in Bahrain is in fact quite similar to what we've seen across the region. In February last year, protesters in Bahrain marched to Pearl roundabout, just like people marched towards Tahrir Square in Egypt. And one should not underestimate, the level of the scale of the repression. When protests are starting to take to the streets, the reply from security forces was, live rounds. Saudi Arabia, with the support of the United Arab Emirates, sent about 2,000 troops to Bahrain to suppress the revolt. So I don't think we should underestimate what is going on. And in fact, much the demands made by Bahraini Shiites in majority are the same as other people in the region. More democracy, effectively.
Okay. I'm going to have to end it there, Nabila, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. That's Nabila Ramdani, who's a journalist and specialist on Middle East affairs.